All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to dot.LA's virtual pitch showcase. I'm Kelly O'Grady, dot.LA's chief host and correspondent and head of video, and I'll be your host for today. For those that have attended one of our events before, you're likely familiar with our mission at dot.LA, but for those that are new, I just want to take a quick second to highlight our focus. So it's no surprise if you live in LA that the past couple of years, we've seen the development of a really vibrant tech and startup ecosystem across a number of industries. So that's where we come in. dot.LA is a multimedia news and events company with a mission of really shining a light on the innovation that is in this quickly growing community. So events such as today's are just one part of doing that. Even with COVID impacting everyone, we've quickly pivoted to virtual alternatives so that we can continue to successfully achieve our mission and connect with you all. So to that end, for today's showcase, we're going to be focusing on real estate tech. So we're pleased to have a really impressive lineup of investors and companies today. On the investors front, we have Brad Inman and Spencer Rascoff. Brad, would you like to say a few words of introduction?
Sure. Great to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to hearing from the entrepreneurs. Do you notice that bright light right to the right of my head? That's one of my bright ideas I have for a business. So I'm hoping down the road, Spencer will let me come on and you can judge my idea. Anyway, I'm joking. Really great to be here. I am the publisher of Inman News. We focus on real estate and a big emphasis on real estate tech. And as an example, we covered Zillow when it launched with Spencer and the whole gang, and have a lot of fun doing it. So I'm very excited to be here today.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, Brad. And Spencer, why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Sure. Thanks, Kelly. I'm Spencer. I'm the co-founder of dot.LA and also the co-founder of Zillow. I'm a very active angel investor with over 60 investments across all sorts of areas of tech, including a lot in prop tech, which is the category that we're here to talk about today.
Awesome. So I'm also thrilled to introduce the three companies we're going to highlight today. First up, we have VHomes. So co-founder and CEO Michael Villardo will be telling us about a prop tech startup that strategically identifies distressed and vacant housing opportunities, leveraging these assets and turning them into nightly, weekly, or monthly budget rental options. We're also going to be hearing from Elizabeth Brauman, who's the co-founder and CEO of JoyHub, which is developing an open platform to connect and automate existing multifamily operator systems to improve operating performance, increase revenue opportunities, and enhance resident engagement. And finally, we're going to have Dimitri Shipkin, the founder and CEO of HomeOpenly, which helps users to make the opportunity of home ownership transparent, affordable, and an open experience. So a couple boring housekeeping items before we jump in. All attendees are going to be muted for the duration of the session. Speakers with their lovely faces are going to be displayed on video throughout the discussion. Audience and engagement questions are encouraged. So at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see an icon for Q&A, raise hand, and chat. In the Q&A section, please feel free to just put in any questions that you have. If we have time, we'll field them to our presenters. Recording of this is going to be posted on the dot.LA website by the end of the day. And of course, I've got to plug this. Make sure you sign up and subscribe to our daily newsletter to catch every headline. So how this is going to run is that each company is going to present for about 5 minutes, followed by 10 minutes of questions from our investors. So this is a showcase. There's no winner or loser, but instead we're focusing on highlighting some innovative companies for you and giving you a window into what the process of pitching to elite investors is like. So without further ado, let's get started. VHomes will be up first. Michael, take it away.
Thank you for your time, everybody, and really excited to showcase what VHomes is all about and looking forward to the questions and any follow-up. So let me share my screen and I will dive in. So welcome to the presentation today. My name is Michael Villardo. I'm about to enter my second year at UCLA Anderson, and we're an LA-based prop tech startup formulating the budget living and travel options for the future to come, VHomes. So what we've done here is identify a huge gaping issue in the market where there's over 7 million US housing shortage today. This mostly consists of low income and budget consumers who don't have enough places to stay, mostly in dense cities. Yet across the US on a month-to-month basis, there's 17 million vacant rental units. This encompasses apartments, townhomes, distressed real estate that really is not able to leverage the maximum capability. Well, why is this that a lot of these budget low-income consumers can't be able to tap into this oversupply of influx? Well, it's because most of these consumers don't have the time, money, or means to be able to furnish the place, put down first, last month's rent, or pass a credit check. Well, with this opportunity, we at VHomes here have been able to leverage this, identify it, and be able to provide an innovative solution for these consumers. And that is what we do here at VHomes. We go after distressed real estate that's been on the market for at least 1 month at a time. In such, these landlords are looking for liquidity, and we offer to be their tenant. So as us, VHomes, we're the year-to-year tenant. In such, we're able to enact advantageous leasing terms. We always sign leases below market rent and with the ability to be able to use the property for which we wish, which is weekly, nightly, or monthly rental options. We then install smart home technology consisting of smart thermostats, smart locks, vibrant designs, and personalize this for the budget consumer of today. And this market is growing exponentially year over year. And when you look at it consistently, the property management business within the US is a $50 billion industry. That's what really excites us about continuing to move with the market. When we're continuing to hone in on what we're trying to achieve as the budget provider of the Sunbelt United States, we're really looking at those states from Georgia all the way over to California. Warmer markets, low home ownership, and many people flocking there like years to come. When we're looking at our beachhead markets of Dallas and Phoenix, Arizona, and looking at specifically single-family homes, we see a $900 million revenue opportunity. This means that we are not required to gain significant market share to be deemed a success. In fact, with only 1 or 2% market share, we're already be able to annual recurring revenue of $4+ million a year. And this is one of our property spotlights we've done so far. So we've done this across 10 properties. We have live experience and we're really excited about continuing to grow. This is one of our properties in Phoenix. It costs us $4,000 to invest in the property in terms of smart technology and vibrant designs. This property had been on the market for 3.5 months. So the landlord was especially excited to work with us. And upon taking over the lease, December 1st of 2019, it only took us 2.5 months to recoup our initial $4,000 investment. And within 5 months, we already hit 100% ROI. This is why this is so important for us to gain value and do this across many properties over. The customer we're focused on is the budget low income consumer. And this is who we really see the asset classes. Group travelers, so 20 and 30-year-olds going city to city and want to travel and experience the city as a group. Low-income families who are looking for monthly furnished rentals. So those with several kids, they want extra rooms. We always target places with 2 or more bedrooms. And then corporate travel. We understand business travel will decline, but in the low-income budget community, a lot of these jobs are required upon being in person, such as nursing, construction, welding, minor league sports. And this is who our competition is, and we see it today. In fact, right down the street from us at our place I just highlighted in Tempe, Motel 6 the other weekend was going for $69 a night. Yet our property was going for $72, and we have 4 rooms. We really value this price per room, and this all predicates on us identifying the right real estate opportunities and being able to leverage this asset to provide a much better experience than motels and cheap competing properties on Airbnb, Vrbo, and other vacation rental sites. So far, we've been able to gain quite a bit of traction over the course of these 10 properties with a 95% occupancy rate and over $180,000 in revenue. We're really just meaning to be able to get to a critical mass and do this across hundreds of properties in one aggressive 2 to 3 year launch segment. Here's give you a little bit of an update on how long I've been doing this. I've been able to get into this industry around 4 years ago when I saw the market really moving this way toward short-term rentals. Albeit with COVID and all the new circumstances in the day-to-day, it's important to understand we don't only do travel, but also living accommodations in terms of monthly furnished rentals. And that is why we're looking for this $400,000 investment for a 12.5% equity stake. We're really excited about the predicated success we've had, but we understand by moving at a critical mass and building up that brand value, we'll be able to really develop a company that can sustain the long haul and provide significant return for our shareholders. This is the team I've been able to surround myself with at UCLA. I'm really excited about the talented individuals here across finance and design, and including some incredible advisors who've been in commercial real estate and technology for many years to come. We are VHomes, and we're looking to build this future of flexible rentals together. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Michael. Brad, you want to kick us off with questions?
Let's unmute Brad. Okay, we're all set. Michael, that was very good. An interesting business. I was just curious, 17 million vacant houses. That seemed like a huge number, but that means a rental that maybe been on the market a couple months. It doesn't mean empty, right? Do I get that right?
That is correct. That constitutes any place that could, in theory, host a tenant that is not currently.
I'm kind of violating the rules here. I think I was only entitled to one question, but I'm going to bundle up here. And you are subleasing these to these tenants. you remain the master leaseholder on the property, is that correct?
Great question. So we have 3 to 5 year leases, and we have a unilateral clause that we can end the lease at any time. And if regulations change, we can break the lease free of charge. But we have specific short-term rental addendums in each of our leases that allows us to do these for weekly, nightly, or monthly rental options. So we basically arbitrage the master lease in the smaller segments.
And then finally, the short-term rental, this could be a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Could I sign a 6 months lease with you?
Yes, absolutely. So it's really up to whatever the consumer dictates. So we want to be able to continue to provide what the market tells us. In the winter, especially pre-COVID, it was mostly nightly options. But as we've been able to understand people's needs have changed, now all of our properties usually are getting rented out for 14 days or longer.
Thank you, Michael. Spencer, I'm sorry I took up so much bandwidth there.
Not at all. Were these homes that were for sale and you've come in with an offer to lease, or they were for rent and you've signed a long-term lease?
Great question, Spencer. So all these were for rent, and we were able to target them. They were all for rent and on the market at least 1 month at a time. The longer they're on the market, we feel the landlord is more willing to be able to work with us, and that's how we work with them.
And so, okay, so you're arbitraging your rental price with when you re-rent it, what you can make. How are you doing the property management?
Yeah, it's a great question. So to start, I wanted to be able to be as boots on the ground as possible. So I did all of it through the first 6. Now we have a team of operators in each city we're in, and we really empower both the cleaning head, the maintenance head, and then a property manager on site. And the way we see it, because we're really developing a lot of technology in terms of artificial intelligence to respond to easy bot questions and such, we feel that one property manager can handle 15 to 20 properties per city on their own without our implementation.
You're at a 95% occupancy rate. You said, how are you driving such high occupancy? How are tenants finding a VHome?
Great question. So we're on over 40 different websites. So we're on Zillow, like yourself, shout out to you guys, apartments.com, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Airbnb, Vrbo. So getting as many eyeballs as possible and different type of asset classes, looking for nightly rentals, monthly, yearly. So just by being on as many websites as possible and being able to aggregate that technology all into one point of sale system, that's how we've been able to do it so far.
Feel free to jump in, Brad. Otherwise, I've got plenty more. And Kelly, if there are questions in the chat, just flag those for me too.
I had one question for
yeah,
Michael. Inventory is kind of key to your success, right? You got to find the inventory. Is that dog eat dog? How in the heck do you scale finding the necessary inventory?
Yeah, that's a great question. So far, it's been me doing a ton of cold calling and really executing on that. But the way we see the company going is, especially with a lot of people missing out on rents from traditional renters, we want to continue to develop a sleek landing page that offers a guaranteed rent portal as a long-term tenant for you. And hopefully we can be able to drive more inbound leads from landlords, especially dealing with low-income budget consumers who maybe, oh, I'm looking for an alternative property management solution after dealing with some eviction issues or not being able to find consistent tenancy. But as of right now, the first-time properties have all been us going on sites like Zillow and Apartments.com and simply ripping a bunch of cold calls down, getting those yeses, and then the next day we fly to the city for the place and to make a decision if we want to move forward with the property.
There's a question from the chat. And actually, Brad, can you just mute for a second? I think your audio might be echoing a little bit.
Sure. Let me.
Question from the chat about competition. The questioner asks, how is this different from Barsala? I'm not familiar with Barsala, but I'll throw in Sonder as another very well capitalized. I think it just raised another $100 million the other day.
Yeah.
Competitor.
Yeah, no, great question. I actually am not familiar with Barsala at all, but like Sonder, Damio, Lyric, there's a bevy of companies. The way that we're really positioning ourselves is how we're differentiating is the brand positioning, the segmentation. We're going for that budget, low income consumer. So we're competing with motels, Section 8 housing, whereas Sonder, they're a Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons of the Airbnb world.
Right.
There's really no one who's focused fully on this budget, low income consumer. So the better we get to know that customer, we feel like that's the way we're differentiating from the others.
I'm an investor in one called Domicile, which is a competitor to Sonder, and you're right, they are going after a much higher end consumer. There's another question from the chat about how you identify the distressed properties. Can you give more visibility into that?
Yeah, great question. So our criteria right now is all single family homes They've been on the market, or the websites that we find them on, at least 30 days. And they're within 2 miles of a major city metro. So like a walkability score of 90 plus. And so that's how we find these distressed places, because usually when we're able to have the first point of contact, we're like, why has the property been on the market so long? And similar, like I led in on the first, over here, I'll bring it back to this. A lot of these houses, they don't, the low income consumers they're targeting don't have the money to be able to fix up the home to make it livable. And we see that as an opportunity that we have the capital to go in there with $3,000 to $6,000, make it a livable place, and then enjoy that arbitrage opportunity for 3 to 5 years.
Give us more data on the arbitrage. So take your typical home. What were they asking in monthly rent? What are you paying in monthly rent for a 3 to 5 year lease? And then when you parse it up in a given month, how many total tenants do you have? And basically, what's your yield like?
Yeah, so for this property, I'll actually run down the unit economics really quickly. So this property right here is $1,200 a month for rent for a 4-bedroom place. Now, operating expenses, cleaning, maintenance, all that, that brings you up to probably another $1,000, $1,500 a month. So let's just say $2,500 to $3,000. We're consistently seeing in this property $6,000 or $7,000 a month in revenue. So that's how we're able to really benefit off the arbitrage. And that's why we're looking for investment right now as well, because really our gross margins are consistently 65, 70% a month. But in terms of operating margin, we're around 20 to 30%. We feel like that operating margin can be incrementally driven up by doing this at max scale, because you drive down cleaning costs, maintenance, the brand equity will continue to rise, the willingness to pay. So in terms of the unit economics, they're really exciting, and we continue to be able to improve those margins by having the cleaning team at scale.
All right, awesome. So any last thoughts, Brad or Spencer, before we move on for Michael?
Michael, great job answering the questions. Just one thing, your pre-money market valuation is 2 to 3 million. Do I have the math right?
Correct.
And you came up with that from?
Off of our 108,000 revenue, and thinking that as we continue to scale, we've actually raised $30,000 through UCLA and the UC system this year, equity-free financing. So that's how we based off of in terms of the investment we got from them, what we've been able to do revenue so far, and what we anticipate through the end of 2020 with using their initial investment. That was through winning competitions in the UCLA and UC system. So right now we're looking to continue raising our seed round.
I'm impressed. 4 years in business, you only spent $35,000. Go.
Michael, I'll just add that I see a lot of pitches of companies in this general space, but at the much higher end. I just got pitched one the other day where they've got a couple of properties in Bali and kind of Europe and high-end destinations in the US, and they're doing the same exact thing. But actually they're trying to make it co-living also, where, you know, the different bedrooms can go to different people. I haven't seen anyone targeting the kind of mid-market or lower market, which you are, so that's differentiated. One little nit I would suggest to you and others watching this who have similar pitches, on your use of proceeds slide, just change it to team expansion rather than founder salaries.
I love the critique. Thank you for helping.
Sure. Actually, yesterday on Twitter, or at least on my Twitter, there was a debate. Some VC or angel posted something that was like, in my 10 years of angel investing, I have concluded that the only good determinant of whether a good seed investment will be successful or not is the amount of the salary of the founders. If they have more than 100K, it's unsuccessful. It's less than 100K salary, then it is successful across, an N of like 200. And this whole debate ensued about the importance of low founder salaries. So anyway, you'll see angel investors very attuned to that. I know you want salary. It's been a long time without one, but
yeah, I know we're limited on time, but and that's one of the reasons why I had less slides. But I definitely love that point, and we specifically have pointed out we'll take 50,000 a year salaries, the three of us. So we're excited, and thank you so much for the critique.
Thank you.
Great, thanks so much for your time, Michael. And let's hand it over to Elizabeth of JoyHub.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll be able to get this presentation. Is everyone able to see my video? No. Oops. How about now?
You can see your video, but not your screen yet.
Oh, pardon me. There we go, share screen. Apologies.
All good.
There we go. There we go. Thanks, everyone. Sorry for that. I am going to start off today with a question. What is the difference between Amazon and a local bookseller? Now, let's go into the Wayback Machine for a minute and remember, they were direct competitors not too long ago. Now, I love Book Soup, but I can tell you honestly that I spend a lot more money at Amazon than I could ever possibly imagine at a bookstore. Why? Obviously, Amazon has a lot more products today, but they only knew that I would buy shampoo, cleaning supplies, and candy in addition to books because they collected my data, they transformed my data, and they acted upon my data by evolving their offerings on the basis of my specific needs. I'm going to talk about actionable insights today, and when I do this, this is what I'm talking about. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Brayman. I'd like to thank Spencer Rascoff, Brad Inman, and the team at dot.LA for having us here today. My co-founder, Justin Hughes, and I are proud to introduce JoyHub, where we seek to empower multifamily operators with the same intelligence that has made Amazon an innovation leader. I've been in commercial real estate for the past 15 years, and what I've seen is that owners of rental properties can't utilize all of their data for actionable insights. Most operators have multiple technology systems that are completely disconnected, making it hard to manage and wasting tons of time and money. Consumer preferences and engagement are a huge priority for operators, but it's hard to meet tenant demands because even though money is spent on technology, the fact that systems are disconnected make it impossible for them to look at consumers holistically. Never mind that lots of data isn't even collected. One operator told us that if a tenant isn't on the lease, he doesn't even know they exist. That leaves out grandma, the kids, Uncle Joe. It's hard to meet customer needs when you don't even know who they are. The fact is, having disconnected technology systems makes having a data-driven decision process hard, if not impossible, to have. JoyHub seeks to tie it all together. We're building an enterprise software that integrates multifamily operator systems into a single centralized data platform. Our open architecture will allow us to automate existing systems to improve operating performance, increase revenue opportunities, and enhance resident engagement. There are three things that we are going to do. The first thing we are going to do is collect the data. How we do this is through providing a resident common app as a wrapper to current systems. A single source of services increases engagement with tenants and allows us to collect consumer data directly from the source. The second thing we're going to do is transform the data. How we do this is through our integration layer, which will be presented to operators as a no-code interface to set up automated workflows and event triggers, similar to a Zapier. This will allow data to flow back and forth between systems, saving staff from input redundancies and limiting human error and improving data integrity while increasing data security. The third thing we are going to do is make the data actionable. How we do this is by standardizing and sanitizing the data. We call it making the data consumable. And this will allow the data to be cleanly pushed into a data warehouse that can be utilized for business intelligence and predictive analytics so that operators can act, providing a custom resident experience. The next step in the three-step process, collecting, transforming, and making the data actionable allows us to access resident, property, and portfolio data and benchmark against available competitive set, micro and macro data. Let's just take a quick look at some real-world examples. What insights this cross-section of data will unlock? When is the best time to request tenant reviews? Online reviews are now the #1 way residents select a property. But how do operators know when to ask to optimize the tenant's response? What marketing channels surface the residents with the greatest retention? Is it resident referrals? And if so, do they come from friends, family, coworkers? What units within a property have rental rates that are impacted by seasonality? And if so, by how much? What impact will a market event like COVID have on rent collections based upon a resident's job sector? We have released our MVP and are currently in development on our enterprise SaaS platform. Our pricing model is a setup fee based upon the number of integrations and then on a per unit basis per month. Additional revenue opportunities include the marketplace and of course, future data licensing for benchmarking and analytics. We currently have good traction with 7,000 units under LOI, and we're working on some proposals for several enterprise clients right now. Quick note on us as a team. Justin was responsible for architecting an online automated broker-dealer and an AI-driven valuation tool for multifamily properties that was sold to Hunt Mortgage last year. He was the co-founder and CTO at Realty Mogul. I have been a serial entrepreneur and venture and private equity backed companies and have exits behind me. We are really thrilled to be launching JoyHub in our home, the city of Los Angeles. Not only is there just a tremendous amount of tech talent for us to choose from, but there's also this massive real estate community that Brad can attest. Fifth Wall last year launched the largest real estate venture fund right in our backyard. So LA is just an incredible city for a prop tech startup. And with that, leave you all with, we completed a small capital raise recently. We're in the process of closing that, and we're planning on opening a larger round at the end of the year. So if there's any interest from anyone, we hope you'll give us a call and we'll schedule some time to discuss. Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, as you know, I unfortunately passed on investing in Realty Mogul many years ago. So this is my chance, I guess, to make up for that. Right. So I'm interested and excited to,
Thank you.
Tell me more about the 7,000 units under LOI. Where are they? How did you close those? Or I guess you haven't totally closed them yet, but yeah. Tell me more about the sales channel.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and very fortunately for me, I've been working with the same customer set over the past few years, and actually throughout the length of my career, multifamily operators. And so we have good relationships. Real estate's a very relationship-based industry. So the first order of operations is tapping into our existing relationships, and primarily the ones that are the most tech forward, who really understand the pain point and are super excited to get started with something that collectively takes their systems and allows them to communicate. So there are folks in the industry that have been operators that have been hiring consultants to kind of patchwork this together. And those are the first people that we start to work with, because obviously it's not very scalable for them to do that with each integration that they want to add. So we started with several operators that we had relationships with.
And were you replacing existing software in those sales calls, or how did they position you relative to the rest of their software stack?
Great question. It is absolutely not a replacement. It's more of a overlay. So their current order of operations is to manually input. Some of these guys say they've got, well, on average, they have 30 different systems that most operators are using. And so they're manually inputting it into each and every individual system. When you have a new tenant that moves in, the onboarding process might require 7 different systems to be logged into. And these systems aren't speaking to each other. So if they're not, you have to manually onboard each new tenant several times. And that's what causes a lot of the data integrity issues and a lot of staffing wasted time. So we're not replacing anything other than their staff time and connecting existing systems that they're already using.
Brad, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Oh, I'm sorry. Elizabeth, great presentation. I didn't quite get your market focus. Small owners, middle market, REITs, who is, it sounds like your history is with the big boys. Who are you focused on in terms of your market?
We're starting with the 1 to 5,000 unit operators because those are the ones that are the most, I would say, tech forward in so much as they're trying out a lot of the new technologies, and that's creating a lot of overhead load to their existing systems. Most operators use their property management software as their hub. And so when they add new technologies, some of them have some limited integrations, but the ones that are really trying to expand their offerings to their residents with new tech, they're the ones that are really seeing the value here because it connects all their different systems. The large operators, the really big institutional operators, are probably a little farther down the road because if you're adding or rolling out anything to 20,000 units, it's a pretty significant lift. So we'll start approaching those guys once we have some case studies to kind of show that the system is working as they would hope it would.
Elizabeth, how would you hope I don't know what basically, how would you hope one person would describe this to another? Like let's say I operate 10 units or whatever, 10 buildings with 100 or 1,000 units, whatever, and I'm at some conference and I say to somebody, hey, you should use JoyHub because, like, how would you hope they would describe it?
It's obviously a difficult question because it's a pretty broad and comprehensive.
Yeah.
It's a complicated system, and so we use examples like Zapier, but really it's a data integration layer. So it connects all your existing systems, and for operators who know that their current systems are a bit of a morass, saying a data integration layer that connects everything, they know the value of that.
Okay. There's a question in the chat about competition, and I'll preface it by saying, I think this is one of the most competitive real estate rental industry. Property management, broadly described, is probably even more competitive than consumer facing rentals websites, which is also very competitive. So how do you position yourself relative to the competition? Who do you think the competition is, and how do you differentiate?
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't view us as a competitor necessarily with a lot of the engagement apps because we're planning on integrating with those guys. We don't want to replace all of the different niches that are in the market. I'd say an HQO is probably a better competitor, but they're in the office space. Building Link is actually a pretty good competitor. Our market differential with them would be we're building something that is open architecture and modular based. So we really want to encourage new technologies to build to our marketplace so that they're gaining access to the operators who currently can't just handle the load of adding new tech because of all the issues that it requires with staffing and training. So if we are able to open that architecture up, gain some of those new technology companies, I think it'll be a really robust and interesting platform. And I haven't seen anything that's similar in this space.
All right.
Elizabeth, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, please.
The charge for the integration, as I remember the slide, it was 5 to 25,000. Was that correct?
Yeah, that'll be per integration, and we're kind of taking a page from our crowdfunding days, and we'll be trying to reduce costs based on kind of the need and the demand in the market. So if someone's using something that's super niche that they want to integrate with, they probably will end up paying the full price of the integration. If we can get a couple of different operators that all want the same integration module, we'll be able to reduce the cost of that. So a operator system is, depending on how complicated it is, some operators have very unique fields in their property management software system, so that's going to require some more customization work depending on how unique their data fields are. But we're planning on keeping the price down as much as possible and hopefully using some mind share.
On the other hand, aren't you worried that that could be a real lowball price in terms of the cost integration of these systems? And you say 30 systems.
Oh, it's per system. Yeah,
Brad,
I'm
you're
sorry, I
muted
can't
right
hear
now.
you, Brad, but it's per system, and it depends on the amount of data fields that each system and the complexity of it. If they have an API that we can build to versus if there's just kind of more complicated integrations.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Brad,
Thank you.
Spencer,
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
any last comments? Okay, great.
Thanks, guys.
So Elizabeth, thank you so much.
I do have one comment. One thing that
Go ahead.
angel investors definitely look for is teams that have worked together in the past. So that definitely that's a big plus. Startups are so fluid and malleable that it's the chances of what someone like Brad or I investing in today actually being the JoyHub 4 years from now are pretty low because there's so many pivots along the way. So frequently it's more important to invest in the team than the actual idea at the time of investing, and how the team works together, and the experience working together is super valuable, very, very important.
Thanks. Well, Justin and I have 6 years together, so hopefully that speaks to your comments. So thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it. Take care, and thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Elizabeth. All right, our last company from HomeOpenly, Dimitri, take it away.
Oh, hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Dimitri Shkipin, and I currently serve as CEO of HomeOpenly. Today, I'll briefly describe to you our product, why we're building it, and how. And at the end of the presentation, I will switch to a live example to demonstrate how Open Marketplace works. So let me go ahead and start by sharing my screen. HomeOpenly is a consumer-focused online marketplace. We're a 51% female-led company, and we are currently bootstrapped. We are working in an industry that is defined by low frequency, high transaction value, high risk aversion, and also hyper-local. In this type of environment, we find the industry typically suffers from what we think is pay to play, where a lot of different companies are looking to develop into referral fee agreements with brokers and sell their services on that basis, as well as low success from companies like iBuyers that systematically suffer from 98% rejection. So to confront this, we effectively built a product we refer to as Open Real Estate Marketplace. It is a transparent, affordable, scalable, and unbiased solution that helps consumers connect with agents and other services. It benefits consumers and industry professionals because there are no partner agents, there are no standard referral fee agreements, no barriers to entry, and as a result of that, there is no pay-to-play bias, and also there is no what we think is consumer steering. Instead of colluding with blanket referral fee agreements, HomeOpenly monetizes clearly labeled ads across vertical housing services. Those include mortgage, insurance, refinance, moving maintenance, cash offer stand-in programs, title escrow, and others. In a sense, what we're building is an environment where consumers are offered reduced risk aversion and genuine savings. The goal of this product is to leverage transparency into a new type of operating system for housing. This is a result of the fact that consumers now own about $31 trillion in residential real estate assets. What we're looking to develop is a unified marketplace to manage this asset class with genuine savings and transparency. So this is some of the things that we're looking to incorporate it into that marketplace. So what does Open Marketplace look like today? HomeOpenly currently aggregates home listing savings and home buyers refunds in connection to 130 million homes in the United States. As an example of that, this is a property in Los Angeles that's randomly generated. And I'm going to open it up in my browser and show you how it actually works for consumers once they find this reference. Apologies. So this right here is, let me lower this a little bit. This right here is basically the page a consumer would find. First, you will see a typical Google API that just confirms that the property is the right home they're looking at. It shows the address of the home, and as well as estimate of that provided by AVM modeling. What we do differently is what comes next. As you can see in front of you, there's home listing savings and home buyers refunds boxes. I will close out the home buyers refunds for now, not to confuse anyone, and assume that I am effectively owner of this home who's looking to place this on an open market for sale. What HomeOpenly has done is we effectively have aggregated all different local agents who are offering different rates, different services. They all work for different agencies. And in effect, this type of environment allows consumers to identify the agents that they might like to work with. In this example here in Los Angeles, it looks like accumulated about 30 different agents who offer different services. They all work for different companies. And as a seller, potential seller of this home, I might find one of these agents interesting. So what I would do is I would simply click on a person I like. In this case, I picked the first person on the list. And at this point, I will be entering an environment where consumers can do further research about anyone specifically that they like. For example, in this case, this agent works in LA. She has her services outlined. She has her information, her description. And at this point, if the consumer likes what she sees, she can go ahead and click this button that says send lead to agent, and all of the information that she offered to us, including her name, telephone contact information, will be effectively sent to that agent without any sort of middleman fees. So what that effectively does is creates an environment where real estate agents are competing for each other. Instead of being sold as leads, consumer actually makes the decision or who would they like to contact. And of course, the consumer is free to contact any number of agents that they see and explore their services as well. So in this case, I think we can go all the way to the second page. Let's see. Yes, it goes quite a bit down. In that sense, on this note, I'm going to go back to my presentation and effectively, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask it. Thank you very much for your opportunity to present our product today, and especially big thank you to dot.LA team for organizing this event. Let me go ahead and stop sharing the screen at this point, and I will go back to the questions and answers.
Dimitri, very good. Thank you for the presentation. Bold ambition, an end-to-end marketplace. Been tried before, but you have a certain ring to yours. My question is this: how did that savings get calculated? It was a big number. How did you come up with that realtor from Remax versus Keller Williams could generate a 47,000 versus 22,000 savings? And what does that savings actually mean?
So all our savings, to keep the results unbiased and keep them essentially the same, we calculate savings on the same merit. We take the buyer's side commission where we separate it from the listing side. So all savings for listing side are calculated against 3% commission, and all buyer's rebates are calculated against an assumption that 3% commission will be issued to the buyer's agent. That way, it's explained to the user when they sign up that this is the basis for that. And that's how we essentially present that information. That way, the information is always consistent. We can systematically compare products like flat fees to products that effectively charge based on commission and anything in between.
And the agent's getting you that information, or is that something you're calculating independent of the agent based on their advertising or promotion? Or
so the agents effectively give us their fee schedule, and what we do is we match that fee schedule to the property value. So we have an AVM assigned to that specific home in LA. For example, there's 2 million. The property worth about 2 million. So we effectively multiply those savings based on the value of the home. That's why we're able to calculate it so closely. Obviously, the final sale of the home could be different, and therefore the savings will be different, but overall scale will be the same.
And you stand by that savings when a consumer uses his service?
Well, yeah, because what it essentially does, it's we're not a middleman person. We actually don't have any transaction part to a transaction. We're merely an internet channel for agents to advertise their rates and for consumers to receive that information. So effectively, the agent stands up by their advertisement.
And that's how you get paid?
Yeah, how do you get paid?
So through the industry, there is a common misconception that brokers can essentially collude into what's called referral fee networks, where you can set up a paper brokerage that will effectively collect a referral fee from transferring the client to another. We're looking to break that sort of experience into a different channel of revenue. And this is exactly where we looked at the industry and said, look, this is the biggest part of the transaction, the most risk-averse transaction. If we can capture this and give consumers a really valuable experience, they'll come back to us for other things. So they'll come back to us for mortgage, they'll come back to us for insurance, they'll come back to us to this, what we refer to as vertical services. So effectively, where we received our money is through ads on this vertical services.
Got it. So you're hoping to monetize from ancillary. Where do the listings come from?
So this is a generic, this is not an actual home list.
It's off market or whatever, just it's every home.
Yeah, unlike Zillow, we don't have the agreements with the local MLSs. So
right.
the idea behind it is to provide different information because there's so much already. Obviously, Zillow was the first and the most progressive company that able to collect that information, but there's so many other companies that are doing it now, and they're trying to do something that Zillow has done. So what we look to provide a different set of data and try to associate it with the residents. And obviously that's our approach, is to try to index that sort of content in scale.
Well, you might be able to take a listing feed from ListHub in order to get active listings, although I think leads that go through active listings that come from a ListHub feed, I think have to go to OpCity also now. And so you might have a hard time with your business model if you took a feed from ListHub. But so here's the good news. The good news is showing different commission rates on the sell side or the buy side is something that the big companies in the category, whether it be Realtor.com or Zillow Group, are unlikely to do. Historically, they have not done it historically, let's just say. And you know, you can speculate as to why, but you know, $1 billion of agent advertising revenue in the case of Zillow is a pretty good place to start as to why they might not want to display commission information. The bad news is that there's not a lot of data to support the hypothesis that consumers care about different commissions. In fact, surprisingly, right? You would think that they would. In fact, the data from Redfin would tell you that, and you know, Brad literally wrote the, you know, or figuratively wrote the book on this essentially at Inman News, that Redfin started with a much bigger rebate. I think it was a 75% rebate to the consumer, and over time reduced it such that today Redfin is not even really a discount brokerage at all. I mean, they really have walked away from that messaging because they found that they couldn't gain consumer market share by trying to have a lower commission. And so it turns out that consumers don't actually care as much about commission as you might think. And that's one concern that I have. But Brad, is that, what's your take on that?
I mean, it's interesting. There's a model you can go back historically. HomeGain had what we called a reverse service auction. And this goes back to, 20 years ago.
And Brad did a bad job introducing himself. So Brad not only is the publisher and founder of Inman News, but he's also the founder of HomeGain. So he's a fellow real estate entrepreneur. And long before Dimitri and I were even in online real estate, Brad was starting companies, including HomeGain, in the online real estate space. Okay, sorry, go on, Brad.
No problem. But thank you for that. We had a product though, Dimitri, that allowed consumers to list their house, stay anonymous. It was really important so they didn't get 100 million realtors calling them. And then agents bid on their business, and they put up their qualifications and how many houses they sold and a commission rate. And Spencer just nailed it. Consumers, oddly, were more interested in the experience and the homes sold in the neighborhood than they were the commission. Now, some were, and in certain markets, like I never forget Dallas, some discounter 1%, he won a lot of HomeGain business. But for the most part, the consumer was interested in how effective the person was at selling their house, and they seem not happy to. But the idea was to at least create an environment for negotiation that didn't exist before. And it sounds like you're in that area. And there are consumers that want it. The other thing we found with that product, different than our other products, is only about 10% of consumers are that analytical, that they want to explore it. So the simpler you can make it, the better. So they get it, they can choose and act. Ours took a lot of thinking and negotiation. And oddly enough, as big as the price tag is, consumers don't want to spend that amount of time on what they should be, I think, worried about.
What you could try to bring in other ways to help the consumer select the agent. I mean, you could bring in ratings and reviews from Zillow and other sites. You could bring in other, user-generated content or other information. And I like where you started is exactly right, which is all the other sites in this category are they're biased, right? Because they've got a business model to protect. So and some of them are referral fees, some of them are cost per lead or whatever. It doesn't matter, but they all have some steering and bias. If you're trying to create an unbiased way for a consumer to select an agent, that's cool. I think that's smart. I'm just pushing you that price isn't necessarily the only, or maybe not even the most important criteria.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In fact, what we're looking for is value, in the sense that we're not actually looking to cut the rates of the agents. And this, I made this very clear. In this particular example, I noticed the agents that I selected first and the last are actually excellent both. I specifically just know them both just randomly. In the sense that it's really up to the consumer to decide what is valuable for them. The value that we're recreating is removing the referral fees from the process. That's the real key, because those, if you really think about it, an agent who goes to this other referral site will have to increase their price by 40% to make up for that fee. And here with HomeOpenly, we're looking to essentially remove that element to create value of saying, go ahead and hire that same person through this service, because here they can actually give that referral fee back to you as a consumer. So, but as far as I totally understand what you're inferring to, as far as there is an actual bigger issue on hiring a real estate agent, and that specifically has to do with how productive they are. So that's the second part of the puzzle. And of course, it's a much more difficult part of the puzzle to solve, but I know for a fact that I cannot solve it unless I remove the referral fees from the equation. Companies that systematically charge for referral fees, they will always limit their options to those agents who have agreed to those agreements, and they may not be the best for the consumers to work with. But I understand the comment, and I understand that it's not really about the price. The idea is to combine information on the property, and unlike the home gain or the service, what really HomeOpenly has done is we were the first to assign this information to a specific home. So whereas in Zillow went in and assigned MLS data to specific homes, that's rich information. This is what Google liked, and this is why they indexed it. We're hoping that by assigning services and assigning the savings offers, Google will also understand that this is also valuable information that is specifically structured around this particular property.
So I'm glad you brought up Google. Just last question, Kelly. Drew Myers asks in the chat more about traffic acquisition. What is the traffic acquisition strategy? Is it SEO? Is it paid acquisition? How are you going to grow audience?
So effectively, it is the goal is to index. Right now, we have about 40 million records in our own database. Obviously, Zillow has over 110 million, which is much bigger, and obviously that's much richer information. But still, we're confident that as the time goes on, we'll be able to add richer information about each home. We'll be able to add different sources. For example, if we actually do get funded in the future, right now we're bootstrapped. One of the first things we'll do is we'll try to buy more information that's already available from MLSs, because obviously Google will appreciate it as a rich content. But eventually our goal is to develop different services that we can also add on top of that on top of the residents, the real estate agents ones is just the first part of that puzzle. There's so many other services that we can add and say, look, you already landed on this page. Here's the savings offers for your mortgages, for example. So that's kind of the idea, is to provide options to consumers in an open environment.
All right, awesome. Any final comments, Brad or Spencer, for Dimitri before we wrap up?
Good luck. Make sure you spend some time unpacking that whole commission relationship with the consumer and the realtor. It's about as complicated as figuring out COVID-19, let me tell you.
Yeah, we try to make it easy and as simple as possible.
I'll just compliment your nod to diversity, equity, and inclusion at the beginning of the presentation. It's a super important issue, and it's great to see that startups like you are focused on it at founding.
Yes, we're proud to be a women-led company.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dimitri. Okay, folks, that wraps up our showcase. Thank you so much to our investors, Brad and Spencer, for your time and expertise. I found it really fascinating to hear the discussion and hear how you think about investing in the real estate tech space. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And yeah, and thank you to our three companies, VHomes, JoyHub, and HomeOpenly, for sharing the exciting things that you're working on. And thank you so much to you, our audience. We are thrilled to continue connecting with you and bringing the best in the LA tech media and startup space to you. So if you want to connect with any of these companies, contact information will be available in the write-up on our website later. And if you want more content from us, go check out our website, sign up for our newsletter, and follow us on social media so that you don't miss our exclusive video content. And finally, we run lots of events every week. We have our full slate of July events that we're going to be doing. So make sure you check out our website to stay up to date on those. And yeah, that is it for me. I hope everyone has a great 4th of July weekend and get some time in the sun. So thank you again to our investors and our presenters.